This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. Ooh. Yes, welcome back to another edition of the Link Up Podcast with your host, Mr. King and Kana.
Yes, welcome everybody. This is episode 9.
Yes, and we are the voice of the Caribbean, and today we have a very special guest on, none other than Cyriel Snapper. I don't know if you prefer your whole full name out there, but it's already
it's
out there now.
Not a problem.
You know the man celebrity every done out there?
Yeah, true.
I still waiting on that celebrity. I don't know what you're talking about.
A well-known member of the community.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
And our first question obviously will be, just for people that may not know you, be unfamiliar with your track record and what all you do. Can you give us a little background on what exactly it is that you do, basically?
But just like you guys, I was born at St. Maarten, raised there, moved to the Netherlands to study, and always kept the bond with the island. Your family lives there, and your friends, and
part of the community.
you're still very, very involved, even though you're very far away. And once I lived up here for a while, I realized that a lot of people have the same type of struggles when they move to Holland. And then we started USC, which is an organization that focuses on helping students and young professionals in the Netherlands from the islands, from Seba, Statia, and St. Maarten.
Okay.
So we organize different activities and go to companies to get people a better understanding of what Holland life is about. And just like all of us experienced the last week, we had to deal with Irma last month, and from, I always say, from bad things, you could always make good things. We started an organization to try and help out our people again on the islands, because we're so far away. We were talking about that earlier. We're so far away, and we feel so helpless all the way over here. So we started an organization called RebuildSXM.
Okay. Before you continue, I just wanted to ask, USC, the acronym is, what does it stand for those who may not know?
USC stands for Unified Maarten Connection.
Okay, then. Okay.
And basically trying to unify our people that are in the Netherlands to one another, to
keep
able
some
to
kind of bond while we're abroad, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to start with, one of the main things we wanted to focus on is the whole RebuildSXM, because for the past month itself, we've been seeing posts and we've actually been talking about it on the podcast itself. So one of my first thing I wanted to ask about, Cyriel, was on the website. I saw that y'all was talking about like long-term goals and stuff like that. Could you maybe explain more about what kind of long-term goals y'all are talking about in general?
Of course. When we started out, we realized that everyone, I think, from St. Maarten up here realized that they wanted to help out, but how could we help out the best way we can, And at that given point, right after the hurricane came, we couldn't do anything like physically, or we couldn't contribute. So the Red Cross is an organization, and tons of other organizations that are good in crisis help. They are very important in the first couple of weeks to deal with everything that goes on the island. This is not something that an individual or a small organization can deal with. So with that mindset and our experience also with Hurricane Lewis, that was a hurricane in 95 that was also very bad. We used that experience to figure out what would we need, how could we help out the island in the longer term. So they have problems now, but they'll have problems 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 16 months from now. There'll be problems, but that's the timing where people forget about the island, because right now it's hot and happening.
Trending topic, basically.
Yeah, so we try and shift our focus to long-term goals, whereby other organizations won't be there to help out, and then can contribute wherever is necessary. So the focus right now is indeed for the kids going to school. They'll have problems down the line. They have problems now, but they'll have problems 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and we want to be there when that comes around.
It's good that you mentioned that, because that's one thing I wanted a little clarification on, because I saw it, I think somebody was live streaming, and I believe it was from one of the USC events that they had in Den Haag, and they interviewed you a little bit. And I believe you said something about the school supplies and stuff like that for the kids, and that was one of the milestones and stuff. But just basically wanted to know if you could elaborate on that, like what school supplies specifically, and like
what is really the plan? Is like certain types of care packages, like is it just a backpack with a etui and pencils, pens, agenda, and thing, and you're just trying to get those to all the school kids, or like what exactly is the plan there?
Yeah, well, so we start off fixing a milestone. So we have 3 milestones, and the first one is geared to school kids. As you can imagine, there are a lot of children that don't have a uniform at this point. They don't have a bag, they don't have an agenda, even a pen. People have lost everything, don't have anything at this point. And we really want to focus on the small things. The small things will make people happy. And meaning the kids that go to school that would like an agenda. That's something that they don't have because it got wet or whatnot. And those are the things that we really want to focus on the smaller things to make people as happy as they can, to feel like their daily life is back to somewhat normal.
Okay, another kind of question to follow up on that is like the milestones, for example. I saw them on the website, the 3 milestone that you have with the different amounts of money that we like to raise and stuff. But how were the milestones thought up? Like, was this a collaborative project with any of the other, like, was there any communication with other organizations to see like what exactly is their focus? And like you said, the Red Cross is more with the immediate crisis help, crisis relief. Like, did you talk to other people to see like, okay, y'all handle this and we'll focus on this type of thing?
Good question. Obviously, I'm not RebuildSXM by myself. We have a quite a large team. We have about 9 volunteers in our team. And the day that we decided to move forward with this idea, we had to brainstorm as well, all collectively. Everyone is from St. Martin. Everyone has experienced hurricanes in the past. And where could we make the difference? Where can we help out? And obviously, we can't help and contribute to building back a school, like physically and financially, because it's something that is a role of the government. But ultimately, we want to see how we can help the people that are going to the schools. And actually, our second milestone taps into that a bit because it's focused on the athletes on the island, people that play sports, because that's something that you feel helps you out and helps cope with this traumatic experience. But the sports facilities itself, we cannot fix because it's something that government has an obligation to do, but we can help out with the materials that are necessary to play and execute those sports.
That's true. Okay, so then with the milestones now, okay, I see you have, since we're talking about the milestones, I see each milestone, there's a different numerical number. There's a different amount
Yeah, correct.
So I see for the first one is about like 30,000 for milestone.
Yeah, the first one is about 50,000.
Okay, 50,000.
Yeah, obviously the number. We would love to get 500,000.
No, but
we want to be realistic,
exactly,
as realistic as we can.
So now my question is, for the second milestone, do you automatically restart over? So I see the second milestone is higher. So like for example, once you reach the 50,000 for the first milestone, are you going to start all over and try to collect more for the second milestone, or are you just building up on that 50,000 for the next one?
Basically, we're building up, and for the listeners, the first milestone is focused on the school kids to up till 50,000 euros. The second milestone is focused on athletes, which is 35,000 euros above that. So once we pass the 50,000 euros, then we go fully and focus on the athletes. And the third milestone, and that's often, and I think the case now is where people forget about the elderly. At this point you have different priorities. You want to fix your home, you want to get back to normal, and the elderly get forgotten. So we wanted to also focus on them and get some type of donation drive out to them so that we can give them back what they had before the hurricane came. And that's a 15,000 euros on top of that. And the realistic number, because we wanted to be realistic, because we saw GoFundMe's, people asking for millions of dollars.
And
100,000 euros seems obtainable. We're doing well. We're on track. And we've gotten a lot of support from the community in Holland as well, but also in the States. We have a good contacts in the States, and there's some very nice things. We're busy working on some things. I can't elaborate too much on it. But they have some big things coming from stateside, and looking forward to that.
Just for a little clarification, like what is specifically your role within the RebuildSXM though? Because I know you're the most familiar face that I know personally, but I mean I don't know what exactly it is.
Well, just to tap quickly on how it came about, we obviously you guys most probably during the hurricane were calling each other as well, like, hey, how are you doing? Have you heard from your family, from your friends? So I spoke to John Sandyford very often during that passing, and right after we realized we have to do something, so we started and founded RebuildSXM. My role is to keep an eye on all the finance part of the organization. John has taken up the role as chairman, and we have a team with very bright minds, very creative and go-getters. You need people to execute as well, and we have a strong team behind us that is willing and able to do that.
Okay, and. Is there anybody like on the island specific that you're working in collaboration with to be like, okay, once we have the money, we'll know that you're the St. Martin chapter or whatever that's going to handle it from here and actually make sure that things get distributed?
That's a good question because the reason why we also started the way we did is because we want to give the people the feeling that, hey, we can trust these people, because that's a very touchy topic,
keep it 100. I don't know if you
definitely
listen to the past ones, but like that was definitely a lot of people's concerns regarding the Red Cross. Not to throw no shade at them or whatever, but there's many people, myself included, that was very skeptical to want to donate to the Red Cross because like I just wasn't very optimistic, or I didn't see it being very likely that the money would actually reach where it's supposed to go. And that's a lot of people's concern. Whenever these disasters happen, they want to make sure that if I'm sending money, I would like it to go to who it should go to. So
definitely
people feel more comfortable seeing like, okay, we know you, we can reach out to you if anything goes wrong. Like I could probably find out where you live. Basically, there's some kind of accountability involved.
Correct. So the thing is that's interesting that you touch upon that, because that was one of our main drivers as to how to move forward. The Red Cross, nothing taken away from the Red Cross, because they have the knowledge in a time of crisis on what to do, but we wanted the people to feel like their money was well donated. Every penny goes back to the people that we've set out in our milestones, and accountability is definitely of a very big role in that, whereby we want to actually go down ourselves to distribute all the stuff that we buy, and then we document it. So we put it on video and we show everyone what we bought and what we're doing, and also the happy faces that come out of it, because those are eventually the people that everybody that donated helped.
Yep. That's what. So now, since Gary asked a question about the underground there, Martin, my question now is: since RebuildSXM is more of a finance something, collecting money more, do you guys have any communication with the finance minister of St. Martin itself?
Just to take a little sidestep on what you just said, because we also collect funds for our own milestones that we set out. But we came to realize in the beginning of the hurricane, the passing of the hurricane, everybody wanted to contribute. So it was a bit of a clutter in a sense that you didn't know where to go to help out who.
Yep.
So we decided we want to create a platform for everybody. Everybody can send us an email, put their initiative, their cause, whatever they are doing towards St. Martin, Seba, or Statia, on our website. And we are going to make it more accessible for people to not even have to email us, but to put it on the site directly. But we're working on that as we speak. And the platform is there to give people the feeling, hey, if I want to contribute to a church, or I would like to contribute to the animals on the island, because I'm an animal lover myself, I'm going to contribute directly to that instead of
that the zoo was affected
to the milestone.
Like
everyone is affected. So I guess whatever you feel closest with, you have a easier and more relaxed feeling to donate to that. But following on your question, no, we don't have any contact with the finance minister. I don't think with 100,000 euros we should bother him at this point. But who knows where this is gonna go? Or we take everything step by step, because I realize as well we think and plan out everything as good as we can.
But reality always changes.
It does. The day in the beginning, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember the first week. I can't remember what happened, what I did. It was such a daze. We were all in such shock that this happened to our island. I have vague memories.
I was barely working. I was working. That's what I was doing. I had to go work still, because I couldn't stay home and deal with the whole I ain't here for my father, I ain't here for my mother. I couldn't deal with that. I had to go Yeah, but
Yeah.
I had to keep busy.
Yeah.
I had to keep busy.
Well, I couldn't work. When I was at work, I couldn't concentrate.
That's
so,
exactly how it was.
you
For
know,
so
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah.
Like specifically the day of, I remember like being on Facebook and just scrolling forever and trying to see like
Every 5 minutes, I was refreshing that Facebook
every
page.
bit, every morsel of information that you could get about what the situation is, what's going on and stuff. That was just the only thing that was on my mind. Like I was in a job at a meeting and stuff like that, and it was just like, how soon is this going to finish so I can go back home and just like check Facebook basically? Because it felt like it was pointless for me to even be in that meeting, because like you said, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't able to focus on anything but what's the status of the loved ones and all of those type of things.
And I think everyone experienced it more or less the same way, especially
it's
not
all-
hearing from your family, from your friends, seeing the pictures that came out. Because I was home too, and we in Tilburg we asked a bunch of friends, come over and let's share whatever knowledge and experiences that we have together, because sitting home alone or being somewhere alone is
Drive you crazy.
it does.
Yep.
So what we end up doing is we took a bunch of pictures that we saw online on social media, and we during the passing of the storm, I guess people still had internet on the island, so they posted all the pictures that they could, and then your timeline fills up, and we decided let's download all of them and we put them in one album and then publicly share it. Well, that album went viral because I think 40,000 people shared it. Tons of people commented, and I got hundreds of friend requests on Facebook, and people.
Trying to downplay it, but
Nah, we're doing this all for the better of the people of the island, and
That's
the
my
recognition is not what we're doing this for.
Of course. But then you had touched something earlier on about like the chaos and people, a whole bunch of people wanting to send things and not knowing who to go to and stuff like that. That was a bit of a confusion even for us as volunteers up here. It's like, for example, there's RebuildSXM and then there's Make Martin Great Again. So
and
now
that was a whole other nonsense, unnecessary controversy. But continue.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So now my question is there a direct correlation between the two?
Collaboration.
Collaboration between the two, or are they completely like separate groups and just trying to do this thing for Simati?
Well, what we like to follow is that we recognize everyone out there, and we have had contact with Make Martin Great Again, and we recognize what they do, because it's not something that we are doing at this point. They were focused on collecting clothes,
Supplies
collecting
and
food and non-perishables, and then sending that down. While from the get-go, our goal was not to do that, because we saw everyone jumping into action. So what they're doing is very important, especially now that the containers are arriving, that the people on the islands have clothes, have food, have water, and that's a crucial part of the rebuilding as well. We know that they're there. We've spoken to them. We have contact on a regular basis, and I really appreciate what they're doing. But our focus is on a whole other spectrum, that we're focused on the long term. We're focused on financial aid, where we can then see what is necessary at that point. And that's how we move forward with every other organization that there is, because there are quite a bit of them out there. And we give them the platform on our website freely, because that, as long as we can help out the people on the islands, that's what we're there for.
And I wanted to bring this one, and I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question, because this was brought to me as I was just talking to somebody, and this was one of their concerns that they expressed to me regarding the whole RebuildSXM thing. And that's just basically what are the people involved in the RebuildSXM? What are their expertise in the sense? Because it's there's people sending money or whatever, but then how, not everybody is necessarily as confident that y'all have the expertise or whatever to make things actually happen.
So if you was doing IT and I sending you money, I wouldn't really expect the IT guy to be in charge of finances.
Stuff like that. Basically, what's the expertise and what qualifies?
I would
the
assume that you have a background in finance, since you organizing the whole.
Well, it's interesting that you guys touch upon that topic, because it's definitely from a transparency standpoint. That's what we find is the most important thing, because people need to feel like, hey, my money was well spent. So we are in talks with getting an independent accountant to do our books for us. because then at the end of the year, once we close out the fiscal year, we're also going to publish it on the website, so everybody is free to see how much money we received, where everything was spent on, and how we allocated it here and there. Because we don't want, we find it very, very important for everyone to feel like their money contributed, and not feel that it didn't make sense or give you a bad feeling. So everything also will be published on the website. Independent accountant will be looking at our books and taking care of that. So I hope that'll give the listeners on this show, but also the people that have donated so far, the feeling that, hey, it's gonna be good, and we're doing this all on a voluntary basis. Nobody's getting any type of compensation. So those are things that you'll see back in the yearly report.
Okay.
But you see, and then that goes to my next question. So you're doing this, you're doing the RebuildSXM, you're doing USC. I sure you got a job on top of that, and I know your wife personally. So how you just have time to do all of this, big man?
But
Multi-talented.
you have to. Well, firstly, you need a very patient wife. I'm very thankful that I have that. And secondly, you need to. Once you commit to something, you really need to push through. And we have a great team at RebuildSXM. And everybody pulls their weight, which is very important, because everyone contributes an hour in the day. We have 10 hours in the day that we've contributed. So that's very key to getting your teammates in this case all aligned and moving forward, looking into the same direction.
I wouldn't be able to. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
And I have a full-time job, indeed.
You see what I mean? Nah. I right now I struggle into this schooling work thing. I don't know how but and a woman on top.
It's like there's a quote that says you never know how strong you are until you have no choice, until you have no other option.
That's true.
Like,
but he had an option. He didn't have to do this.
But everybody,
not necessarily. I mean, like, life is never going to get easier, in the sense that, like, as you get older, it's only going to get more complicated, more things. It depends. Like, I feel like if it's going the right way, you should progress, and there should be more complications that come in, whether it's buying houses and different things, more bills that come your way, whatever it may be. It's like, it's not going to get easier. So you just got to learn to adapt to the situation, and whatever is that new thing that adds on to the plate, find a way to adjust and make it work. I feel like
I would look at it like, what I'm doing at this point is not much different than what you guys did. I mean, what you guys are doing, because at the end of the day, you're taking time out in the podcast to explain about what happened, and in the previous interviews you've done that as well. You've also helped out other initiatives and causes during the passing of the hurricane. So I don't see it as any different than what I'm doing.
Just put the energy in different places.
You need to distribute the energy and move forward, as long as you got a greater goal in mind.
Yeah, that's true. But it still seems like you do that a lot more. I don't have a girlfriend to be looking after and stuff like that, so it's a lot easier for me.
No, I said, a patient wife is important in this whole factor. Getting a little bit less sleep, but I think we're all used to that the last 4 weeks, especially in the first week, man. I slept maybe 3-4 hours a night.
Yeah.
I ate maybe 2 meals a day, if that at all. And everybody was very stressed, and everyone was very nervous because you didn't have any communication with home, and then when you got to see what happened, it hurt your heart, man.
The rumors was the worst part.
So many stories.
Everything from
what was the best rumor you heard?
I don't know if it's the best.
The most interesting one I heard was that Maarten people was eating monkeys from the zoo.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that story. That one was kind of wild. I don't know accurate like if it was confirmed or not, but to me, I think probably one of the most crazy ones was just, this was unconfirmed. This was from when somebody had called into the radio station, called into Laser 101, and they was talking about the friend side and stuff. And there was this one lady who said, I believe, she was in a room with a bunch of people that was electrocuted, and like there's bodies floating in the water around and stuff like that. And I was just thinking like, yo, that's a tense situation. Like,
and
I can't imagine actually like seeing or witnessing a situation like that.
social media is a very strong medium in this whole disaster, because I mean I stayed in contact a lot with my stepmom, actually, not through social media but through WhatsApp, because internet kept up for a long time, and people have been telling me lately about, shouldn't we get bad hurricanes, shouldn't you shouldn't prepare better, and how could you avoid getting all these disaster things? But I explained them, said, listen, in 1995 we had a very, very bad hurricane. In 1999 we had a very bad hurricane, and we've learned, because people get electricity after like a week or 10 days. That's unique.
Yeah,
look at Puerto Rico.
Exactly.
Look at
like
Puerto
in
Rico.
Contrast, it was like a month or something like that, and still
They haven't experienced such a bad hurricane. So what we experienced in 95, 99, they're experiencing now.
No, yeah.
And
a
we've been
much bigger
developing
a much bigger country, with backing from according to France, the world's greatest country, in his parliamentary meeting. Like,
Yeah, well, we see how that went. Because look who Puerto Rico supposedly had them to back, and look how that went. Man, they're flicking the rest of them kind of ones with paper towels.
but to me, it's just another situation or another example of the same thing happening on Saman, in the sense, like, you want there to be support and thing, and while things may not be going as well, the people stepping up, basically. Like, Trump could do whatever he wanted to do, but that didn't stop Rock Nation and the people affiliated sending like 5 planes or some ridiculous amount of just supplies to Puerto Rico and stuff like that.
Pitbull, Jennifer Lopez, Daddy Yankee, a whole bunch of them celebrities, and like, I mean, okay, cool, they're sending $1 million. It sounds like a lot of money, but
when you look at the amount of people in Puerto Rico and the size of it compared to like a Maarten, for example, like, how far that $1 million really going? I don't know.
Let me ask you guys a question now. What do you think, because now we talk about celebrities, what do you guys think about the status of the island all over the world? Because to me, the last couple of weeks I realized that St. Maarten is very, very popular. What do you guys think about celebrities not really stepping up and helping out St. Maarten or St. Bart's? Because by that chance, they all go to St. Bart's to have fun.
And
but I didn't hear anybody come out and say, you know what, let's help where we vacation.
I find that a little disappointing as well, because I ain't seen nothing period either.
To me, it only, like, people care about their people. It might sound kind of messed up or whatever, but the main people who looking to step up in helping St. Maarten is the people that, whether we like the relationship or not, and not me personally, but I mean, there's many people who debate about the way the situation is, the relationship between the Netherlands and St. Maarten and stuff like that. The Netherlands, the only people that really been like stepping up in a major way. Yes, there have been some aid and stuff coming in from the US and some other places. I remember, I think it was Mr. Kati was talking on the radio station about how Costco and certain other private entities and stuff from the US want to send some donations during the whole situation. But people care about who they care about. Americans care about the US territories, the colonies that they have, the things that they own, basically. Is like, that's just how it seems. Whatever island the parent company or like the mother nation, however you want to call it, those are usually who was looking out for whatever island was affected. But if you are an independent country, then I know.
Yeah, like Dominica.
Then you ain't no mainland and stuff like that.
Dominica's independent?
They used to be British.
I know they used to be British, but I wasn't too sure if they were still under.
I believe so.
So now,
imagine, that's why you see the Prime Minister, he came out and he begged for help, because he knew that nobody was going to come and help, and a lot of countries stepped up, but I really, really respect that.
Yeah, but my brother and I went from St. Maarten to Dominica on a boat to give like relief supplies and stuff like that. That boy doing too much. I don't know what he. That's another one. I don't know how he doesn't have the energy to do what he's doing, but.
I guess you get the energy and you get a drive from the fulfillment where you see people, people being thankful for what you do, and then it's not about you, it's about helping the people.
If there's one person that'd be like that is my brother, because since he get that whole position by the Nature Foundation, he been in the forefront from, if anything, nature and animal wise on some.
I just always seen him doing some from his movements on IG and stuff. I just always seen him doing something, and posting, like giving some updates on whatever it is he's doing and stuff.
Like I just always say on my social media, I is one proud little brother, because Jesus Christ, this boy does do a lot. But
wish we had more of those type of people out there, because then it would make the island even better than it is.
You know what it is? I think we have them, but they don't. Either one, they don't get the opportunity, or they don't get to shine like how they're supposed to. because they have other people like my brother himself. He has like I call them little mentors, but there's people my age. But he has like he has mentored people that has the same interest and have the same passion for what he does. It's just that they don't get the shine on social media like how they're supposed to. Just like anybody else doing
But I mean,
anybody else doing something big for St. Martin. I guess that's one of the reasons we pop up as well, to give those little people the chance to come up and shine.
That's the whole purpose of this platform.
Hey,
for people who doing good stuff like
we
yourself.
try to link up everybody.
Get them a little shine.
To link up.
But like, I mean, there's been organizations and stuff on St. Martin from, I forget what was the recent one. There was a new non-profit organization that started maybe last year or the year before. I don't remember the name. But there's been the Leo's Club and Lions Club and different things like
I
that.
hear nothing from them, to be quite honest.
I saw the benefit concert was last night that had Orange Grove and different people. It was in Rotterdam,
I heard that was really, really good.
I saw some pictures from people snapping stuff like that. Saw some footage, and I saw that the Lions Club donated, I think, €1,000 or something like that to the thing. They had a little post of them, like somebody holding up a check with the Lions Club emblem on it and stuff like that, and had like €1,000 or something like that.
Okay.
So I mean, they contributing. There's something going on.
It's something. I mean, something's better than nothing.
Yeah, I heard that concert last night was really, really good. Well put together, and big ups to the guys from Orange Grove. You know, they really pulled through on that. Yeah, definitely.
Michael Bin posts. I've been seeing him on Facebook all the time posting about where people could get tarpaulin or where people get food or where people could send money and clothes.
I mean, if you got a platform, if you are somebody that's like a little more in the public eye and thing, being a performer, being an artist and thing,
that is
like,
I think Orange Grove is one of the main St. Martin celebrities, quote unquote, that's actually been really taking for St. Martin.
No, you hold me up, of course, but I feel like that might sound a little weird.
What I
mean, like this.
If you talk about the same person, I think you talk about in the hobbies, everybody, ain't Gilda you talking about? You say my hobby, like you don't know the man.
You more closely affiliated, you know that's all I was trying to say.
He been doing this he been thing with Encore and stuff like that.
He was performing at certain benefit concerts and stuff like that as well.
He was performing, I think 2 weeks ago they had a performance there by Rotterdam.
Yeah.
He and Rum, and they had a little beneficial thing for St. Martin. They're gonna have a next couple of ones.
They have a big event coming up for Encore on 11th of November.
Yeah,
St. Martin's Day. St. Martin's Day is going to be very, very big now in Holland because all of us feel even more prouder to be a St. Martin at this point in time.
And then last week, Jamrock had something.
Yeah.
Last week Saturday, Jamrock had something. A night for St. Martin as well. The proceeds went, or a certain percentage of the proceeds went towards RebuildSXM. Yeah, nice.
That's some good stuff, you know. So, like I said, celebrities here in the presence, you know.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people that have the platform and doing what they have to do to raise the money. And actually, because we were talking about Encore, and Jamrock did the same last week, they're donating their funds to RebuildSXM, but Encore is doing it as well on the 11th of November. And they have a mad ideas on how to make that night unforgettable. So you guys definitely got to be the building.
But yeah. I was planning to go anyway. So I mean, is in Amsterdam is an Encore something.
Yeah.
I practically lived there at one point. No excuse not to go. And I saw Bitterzoet had something like that as well. I know if you're familiar with that club.
Another club in Amsterdam.
Yeah, they had.
There's so many things popping up left and right, you know, and it's great because
I did not expect. I was telling here but I was saying this on a podcast here today. I mean, like a couple of weeks ago. St. Martin and St. Martin people in general surprised me twice this year. First was with the amount of support Gilda get for that whole Encore festival thing, and with this whole hurricane situation. I've never seen St. Martin people come together and like try everything from,
and not just St. Martin people
looking for but you see the thing is, yeah, we have to understand,
like all of these collaborations that we've been talking about now with Encore and the Jamrocks and these different things.
It's
like
people St. Martin affiliated. It's people who but the thing is, it's almost St. Martin people in general. We have this stigma and this thing about not cooperating and not being together, not being together as a whole, and the amount of support and love from everybody who looking for each other, family who helping this one get clean up yard.
Group on Facebook.
And, is crazy. I didn't expect that at all.
Like this certain
so what do you guys think about all the help and everything that's been going on, all the initiatives up here in the Netherlands? I mean, it's been crazy. It's been overwhelming because it's nice to see everybody pulling together, you know. But what do you think that is mainly young professionals and students that have been doing these things, huh? The ones that have been up here that should actually all go back to St. Martin and try and see how we could move our country forward in the right direction. Those are the ones that have been helping up out here.
Yeah, but you see, if they was down in St. Martin, they wouldn't be able to help them up here.
That's true, but after this, should at a certain point in time in the next coming years, should these groups of people that are actually putting in all the work right now, from this end, because everyone on St. Martin right now is I see so many things coming by that people are working hard, man, whatever they have, and because materials are limited at this point. But what do you guys think about the people that are up here that's been doing all these initiatives? Should they go back down to St. Martin eventually and try and do better for the island?
It depends what you mean by
That's a hot
how
button.
far
That's
you,
a
yeah, but it depends
controversial
what you mean
debate right there,
by
Kana.
eventually, because I would say no. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, see, me personally, I don't see myself back in St. Martin in the next 10, 15 years, to be quite honest. Because for me, especially how my family was in politics and having seen that growing up, I don't want no part in that. And for me, to make it somewhere in St. Martin, if you on the come up in St. Martin, because it's such a small community, you need to depend on too many people.
But you don't have to go into politics. I mean,
Politics
it's not just
over
politics.
into
It's
many
not
things.
politics,
Because,
but any business in general.
I recently saw a video of this dude. It was going around on Facebook. This guy, he started the rebuilding process. He had a farm or something that I don't know who the guy was. He had this farm and he was talking about the whole situation of how, based on who he know and whatever, they blocking his permits and things like that, trying to stop him from being able to rebuild and all of these type of things.
It's not just politics. Like if I have a business, all right, cool, I gotta get a business license. But whoever running the business license, me and him used to go to school together. We had beef, we had fights and things like that. Now he don't want to give me the permit. See,
Exactly.
I can't deal with things that. See, how that piss me off. So my thinking now is, especially because I'm somebody, me personally, I've been some places around the world. I've lived in different countries and stuff like that. So my idea is I want to establish myself outside somewhere else where I could say, all right, cool, I can go back to Martin, I could deal with my own funds, my own thing. I need nobody permission, I need none of that, and I could just go and do what I have to do for my island without having to wait for red tape or politics. Oh yeah, I gotta support this one in elections because then he go back my thing. Nah, fuck that. I want to go there and do myself, but I ain't gonna have to worry about no politics. And if I want to do something for the people, if I want to give to an organization or wherever, I could do it. I ain't gonna have no permission and none of that stupidness. That's just me personally.
Oh, but the thing is, everybody has their own opinion and views on how that is possible. But I think that the issues that you've touched upon could only be fixed by the people and the young people that know how it's supposed to be done. Yeah, but it's a difficult conversation, obviously.
I
because
agree with your perspective, but all the points that Kana just made is things that I've heard from many people that up here who busy contemplating like whether it's worth it to go back or not, because the first thing you gotta acknowledge is whatever degree people get up here, whatever entry level job they might be able to get here, the first thing it comes with is automatically a pay cut you take in once you decide to go back to Saman, because you know you're not getting the same amount of money. You're getting paid in euros for one up here versus Antillean guilders if you go work for government.
With that way, the island never going to change, huh?
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%.
We might have to sacrifice some things on our end,
but you
but
need people who willing to take that sacrifice. People who willing to be who is not the finances in the end all be all, at least people who actually willing to sacrifice and know what it takes, that there's worth and there's like value in building something itself, helping, contributing, and like it's not all about the money in the sense.
You see, you're right, it's not about the money at all, but the thing is, my fear, especially with the young people going back, is
like shout out Adwell and stuff like that. The man in politics as a young millennial trying to
he's somebody I had in mind there just now. But the thing is, he's one of the few, from what I've seen so far, that is going to be harder to corrupt. Because the thing is, but
at the end of the day, he's a fish in a very, very small pond.
No, but
you need a school of fish.
When I mean corrupt, I don't necessarily.
He alone in there, some kind of like as a young.
I don't necessarily mean when politics is concerned, but I mean like in old way practices. Because anybody who going back now going to have to be mentored in some kind of way in whatever field they're doing, unless they really on this shit and whatever they're doing and they come and bring a whole new wave of things. But anybody else, whether it's politics, business or whatever, you're going to have somebody over you to a point in time. And unless you really stick to your beliefs and your values and stuff like that, that person going to train you and going to mold you into what they necessarily want. And that's how this cycle of St. Maarten has been going, because the people that have been in politics either been there for donkey years or they've been training the younger generations to take over their role. And that's the issue there.
I feel like it's tricky because it's necessary and it has its bad effects as well. Like what you just pointed out is one of the negative effects of when you have it. Like, okay, it's just whoever is coming in there with fresh ideas, they're getting mentored by the same people, the same ideologies and mindset that been going on and stuff like that. But you need that because you can't just like, at least in where politics is concerned, you cannot be somebody who is completely unfamiliar with the situation, even if you've been following politics and things. When you're actually in the meetings and when you actually now gotta try to come up with legislation or whatever it is, part of the governmental the political system that you may be involved in, like whatever part it is, you need to learn that from somebody. And you like the OGs is who can teach you. The people who been there doing it.
But that's what I hear me. So if you getting taught from the corrupted person,
you just need to have somebody like you said that kind of is going to stand strong in their beliefs, that knows that okay, I'm gonna listen to what you're saying, but you gotta understand how to play the game to some degree, in a sense. Like, okay, you teach me whatever it is you want to, I'll take this, but still just take it with a grain of salt, in a sense. Like, let it go in one ear out the other to some degree, and then until you get to a position where it's like, okay, you know enough, you understand how things operate, now you can implement whatever ideals and things you want to have.
Okay, so let's speak of that. Let me ask you them cities. Let me flip it back on you. Why are you still here? Why are you still in Holland?
I was just going to tell the listeners too. I've been here for too long now. I've been here for how long now? 13 years. And the thing at the end of the day is it's in the beginning, when I finished school, when you came to Holland, the idea was, and everybody had that. After 4 years, I gone again. Yeah. Everybody had that, and by everybody, it changed.
Yeah.
I mean, I done here 6 now.
Look. But once you stay here longer, you start to realize, hey, I can learn a lot in this country.
You get comfortable here.
I gotta learn a lot, and for me personally, I want to learn more and enough so that my backpack is filled with knowledge, so I could go back and try and bring about change and help out the people.
Exactly. See, that's the same way how I feel. Just that I want to be more financially stable as well. I've been up here 6 years. I ain't trying to go back in my mother's house. No offense to my mother or nothing like that, but
your mother listening?
Okay. I believe she would. I believe she would. But yeah, I mean, not knocking nobody who does do it. Honestly, is actually a financial strategy to save up your money. You go back, live by your parents for a couple of years, and then you go think by yourself. But nah, I ain't. To me, it got to be more than that, Jet. I'm not trying to go back and live the St. Maarten dream.
It's hard to experience freedom and living independently and things, to then go back living under somebody else's rule and stuff like that. I know for me, that was definitely an issue.
It's not even to say rules or nothing like that. Cause my mother, when it comes to me at least, my mother wasn't really strict on me with that concern. For me, it's like going back in life to
so what do you guys think about now? The hurricane brought about a lot of devastation, a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, but it's also a time for the island to start over fresh. And tackle certain problems that avoiding people to come home or certain things that haven't been going as well as they would on the island. This is actually a fresh start.
I saw a lot of that type of talk regarding, for example, immigration, building permits.
Immigration
and stuff like that.
is the biggest thing they should focus on.
We get all of y'all out to all the people that causing problems or whatever and stuff like that, even though I don't buy into it personally, because like I know there's a lot of scapegoating, and it's like, yes, let's blame the foreigners and stuff like that. The same tactic that you see in every country. America, they blaming Mexicans. In Holland, they blaming Antilleans, Surinamers, Moroccans, whoever that's the foreigner, whoever. Like, that's just the way it goes, and Simane ain't no different. So I definitely agree that yes, it provides the opportunity to enforce and just be like, okay, we start from scratch, let's just do everything right from the ground up. I get that. I feel that way, at least about the building permits and stuff like that. We need to build in such a way that these things ain't that bad again.
Okay, yeah.
It's always a difficult thing, because
I was just gonna ask, because
you cannot enforce. It's hard to enforce something unilaterally amongst everybody when everybody's situation is different. Not everybody has the amount of funds and stuff to build it to a certain standard and things like that. And that's why you had at least a lot of places where most of the damage was done was places where people didn't have the ability to build, because they ain't necessarily the best off. If you go Kobe, KB, certain areas where there's like more shanty towns or things that's not necessarily built like legit
Concrete,
houses
yeah.
and stuff like that. In those situations, they was mostly affected. So,
But then at the same time, since he's bring the whole permit things up, I was seeing things on social media about how you need to have a permit in order to rebuild your
and
house.
stuff. And that I find is like, I understand what they're trying to do, but in the moment, I feel like that's nonsense. Like, you can't tell me that my roof gone and we was potentially going to get more weather and stuff like that. Another hurricane can come and I gotta wait on a permit to put my roof back on? You crazy.
I gotta wait for a government office that hardly was functioning properly before the hurricane. Now I gotta go and wait in line and stuff like that to get a permit from them? Really?
Yeah.
When almost the same people who's supposed to issue the permits, they don't have a house, they're dealing with their own problems and stuff like that, and we gotta go to them. What? I don't understand that. I really don't. That whole rebuild thing, I don't understand that at all. How the government could enforce that? How they going to deal with that? How they could put on the people?
That's what I say. Like, it's a difficult situation where I feel like they should, and it's like, listen, there's all this damage. If you're rebuilding, let's just do it the right way one time. I understand, 100% understand that mindset, but I don't know where the money is coming from. If government is going to be building cheap houses or whatever for people and things like that, all the people that was displaced and stuff like that, you could be like, look, another Belvedere project type of situation.
And that's another something that we could bring up as well, because now you're talking about temporary housing. So now what I've been hearing now is that the Kana village now is a place where they're gonna put up temporary housing. Mm-hmm. So now how that would work, or like, are you hearing anything?
Are people living in the boots? Like, what? I don't understand. They setting up tents in the courtyard area?
I think it's tents.
I did see that they had by the baseball field. They had a couple of bunk beds in a room. But I don't understand why I haven't seen any tents yet, like from the Red Cross or any container housing. And
the container. That's something me and Cyriel was talking about earlier. The containers would be a good idea for that right now.
You mean the place where I live in? No, but honestly, like
where we recording this right now.
At the end of the day, I think people rather stay in something like this than in their car or or in an apartment with 10 family members.
Like me, that's something that me and Gillo was talking about. Like, on a slightly different topic, just like, for example, the idea investment opportunity thing. Like, yo, the amount of money that this building, this complex where I live, like 500 euros per inhabitant, and they got like 1,000 or so. They got 500 containers here, and then they got like 1,000 at Spakloweg, and then they got like a couple other areas where they got, and all of them is like 500 minimum dollars rent, and these people just hardly do any kind of service or maintenance on these buildings. So their monthly cost,
and then now
their monthly cost is nothing, and they're just getting 500 times all the inhabitants and stuff of all of these containers. Is crazy money these people making.
Government should be listening to this podcast, because what they could do now, because they have now
a bunch of containers, they're doing nothing,
but not only
people in them.
They have collapsible containers. So then this could be something sustainable for later on. So cool, big hurricane come, you bring out the collapsible containers, you put whoever need to
but
be.
How that working? What was I never heard of it? This is the first time I'm hearing about the collapsible container. How that is, like, what part of it is collapsing? And
I don't necessarily know the specifics, but I know they have them. So you could put it up and you could take it back down. So that's something that we could easily have in storage for these for a time like this. You put the people in them. When they're done, or when you get something more long lasting and more on a long term type something, you close back the containers, you put it back in storage, you'll save it for next time. And you don't have to worry about this whole, where people gonna be, where you gonna put them, how you gonna put your people. No, Jad. You have a designated place, you move all this shit from there, you put up the containers, and if you say is a big place, like an extremely big piece of land you need, because the containers you can put on top of each other.
Them, yeah.
Stack that shit.
We got 5 on top, and I'm sure they could probably go higher. I mean, they got to pay attention to whatever safety regulations and stuff, not to go too high, I assume. But I mean,
what about this idea, working together with other islands that are in the Caribbean, and having all these containers somewhere on some island, just sitting, waiting, and once you have something happen, you just send them wherever they need to go.
Have them there, Curacao, Aruba. Just have them there chilling. or maybe have a accord with Suriname. Suriname is South America. It don't have much. It's a bigger country. It don't get as bad weather as often as the islands and stuff like that. We have a reasonable relationship with them as well. They got a whole bunch of Surinamese people in St. Martin as well. So it shouldn't be hard to get that communication. So leave them somewhere there, or even Curacao, Aruba, or somewhere else. I think the other islands. I mean, I don't understand.
That's an interesting idea. No? I never thought of something like that. Though. I mean, definitely we've been talking about more collaboration between the islands and stuff like that, because the way it seems as though certain people in government as man, they really want to push this idea to get away from the Netherlands and stuff like that. And if that's the decision that they want to make, how would that go about? To me, the only logical way that can happen is through more collaboration within the region.
And it's not, again, like what we said past 2 weeks, it's not going to happen.
Ultimately, it's very difficult seeing all the laws that you have within a certain country that to work together as easy as you could, because it's not like, oh, let me just call this person and get this done. But I do think that there should be a certain level of communication where, with regards to these type of hurricanes, natural disasters, other disasters that might occur, but you don't hear much about it, huh? You don't hear much of collaboration between islands in the Caribbean itself.
Yeah, which I find is sad, because I mean there's already existing like frameworks and stuff like that, from the CARICOM Islands to the West Indian Federation, I think it's called. There's things like that already exist, but it's just people don't do nothing with them. It's like they're just there for the sake of being there.
But you don't think that's the foundations to lack of transparency, I guess you can say, or lack of communication?
What the problem is, I don't have the answer. Like, I'll probably need to look a little deeper into the situation with I know the CARICOM exists, but to say what exactly they are for and what was the purpose since its inception and stuff like that, I ain't too well versed in that topic, or the West Indian Federation and stuff like that. But I know that they exist, and I know that they serve as some kind of unifying body, or at least that's the intention of them, to try to find some kind of collaboration between islands. But
what do you guys think about a collaboration between Holland and St. Martin at this point?
I was going to ask you, what you think about how the Prime Minister...
I gave an interview here.
I noticed you asking all the questions.
No, at the end of the day, you know, for myself personally, I think it's really nice to see how quick and how, you know, because you have challenges. Holland is very far away from St. Martin. So the in the timely manner that they set up what they had to do, it was a challenge in the beginning, the first couple of days, but if you see the ships and the planes and all these resources that are coming in, you know, it's nice to see that you're getting help, you know. And what I've read in the news, and you know, you don't hear everything, you know, from the grapevine. But what I've read in the news, I mean, it's very positive to see that they actually want to help in a more structural manner. But there have to be concessions made, you know. How are you gonna look forward to that, and how are you gonna look into that? Yeah, that's
integrity chamber debate.
I was just how you feel the Prime Minister is handling the whole post Irma situation, because it seems to be a lot of how to say,
there's a lot of he say she say and blame game going on, of like who is responsible for what and what is actually going on
and what going on. And
no, definitely I think at the end of the day, nobody is experiencing such a level of this disaster that took place on St. Martin. I think it definitely comes with a lot of challenges and rethinking and how to move forward. I do think on some areas we could have seen a bit more action from a government standpoint. But how it's going so far is what I've seen from the Dutch. What they've provided is great. Now I'm very curious to see how we're going to move forward from this, because basically, you know, the Prime Minister of Holland has said, you know, I'm ready to give you guys whatever you guys need, but there'll be some strings attached, you know. And the first signals that I've gotten from those strings attached is not a positive one, because it seems like we kind of shooting that whole offer off the table right away. So I'm very curious to see how long it's going to take before we actually find a common ground. But you know, at the end of the day, the people of the islands don't have time. I mean, people of the islands right now, they're struggling. And how long do you want to continue this debate? We're a month out. You know, will it be decided by end of October? Will it be December? Or will it be next year? But time is not on the people's side, and the people is the ones that are suffering right now, not the ones that are getting well paid.
You see, I think that's part of the issue, because on one hand is like, okay, cool, the people need help now. We can't deny that. We can't debate that. The people do need help now. But at the same time is, do you settle for helping now and being castrated to a certain extent later on? Because that's what it seems from what, again, through the grapevine, that's what the talk seems to be going on. Like, cool, the Dutch willing to help and want to help, but that help
Comes with conditions.
It not going to come just so.
Honestly, like, I find it's a tricky situation because it's only logical. Like, many people were bringing up the comparison of, like, if you go into a bank for a loan, you think you can just go there and be like, listen, I want this money, and there's no condition, you don't gotta show no plan, nothing like that. That's not how you, like, you can't go to nobody, and maybe a mother, that's probably the only person, mother, father, like, that's the only person you could be like, okay, I want this amount of money, and just, I know from my personal example, my
Not
mother
by
ain't
my
giving me
parents, but they were like,
exactly.
what we want to do?
What you need it for?
Unless it's
How
something
much
involved
you
in
know?
school or whatever, like, I need some proper justification for why I asked my mother for
And
money.
it's
things like
logical.
that.
That's
Like, there's always going to be some condition to the money that you get, and I feel like what you say is 100% true. I agree. Like, the fact that all of these political games is being played at the expense of the people who need help and stuff like that, that is nonsense. But I don't have the answer, in a sense, to be like, okay, do we just accept the integrity chamber, get the help, and then deal with it from there? Because I saw something where it's like, with that, at least, it's not to say like they're trying to control everybody that is in politics or something. Like that. I saw something like they was going to have a minority seat of only like two seats, something like that, in the chamber or whatever, so that they don't necessarily have the authoritative control over the entire situation. So like they could give the input, but I mean, it's not to say that they are the end all be all in terms of where the
It's not a
decision is
final
being
decision,
made. Yeah.
okay. But then, okay, I think this whole discussion boils down to one question. I'm gonna ask all you: should St. Martin be independent or not?
I wasn't prepared for that question.
Because that's what it really boils down to.
Man, I think at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. If we look to other countries in the Caribbean that have become independent, they're not doing too well. So, in my opinion, if we look at the track record of others that have decided to go down this path, I don't think we should do it.
And that
To me, it depends. It all depends on what you like. Looking at the outcome, looking at the goal, what it is that you want. Is it self-determination and autonomy? If that is something that that's value, that you could decide your own future and all of that, because I know that at least that's one of the most prevalent arguments that I see being used as to why people on St. Martin want to be independent and stuff like that, because I personally think it's kind of ridiculous that people millions of miles away able to make decisions that influence us and stuff like that on the island of St. Martin. Is like,
yeah,
it's just more bureaucracy that kind of slows down process of certain changes being implemented.
But then at the flip side, if people okay, cool, I understand what you mean. People millions of miles away have an effect on somebody that has no, like, on an island that did not
like, y'all
even
don't live there, y'all don't know what it is going on, but y'all make decisions that affect that, and it's like, but we have to go to y'all for approval before we make certain decisions and
but at
stuff
the
like
same
that.
time, it clearly shows that who running it cannot run it right now.
And
has been
I
running
will use the same
for the
example. I will
past-
use the same example that the Prime Minister used. What country can you look at in the history of any country that was independent for 7 years and had shit under control in 7 years? None. Not Holland. No country. There is no
Okay.
7 years of independence that you got things fully running and smooth. And as a small country as St. Martin is. It was never going to happen in 7 years, dog. I feel like if you trying to say that, okay, y'all had the chance and y'all obviously messed it up, like, no, y'all had hundreds of years. All those larger countries had hundreds of years to figure this shit, like, doing a bunch of nonsense and thing. But now that they figure things out, they feel they have the authority to look at every other smaller nation that might want the same rights that they have, and it's like, no, obviously you can't control it. I feel like that's an unfair thing. I'm not trying to say that.
If you look at since 10 when St. Martin
Government
became
been falling.
autonomous within the kingdom, we haven't had a stable government since then.
We had 5 governments in 4 years.
That's part of the issue.
other way
I think
around.
everyone has a lot of different views. Everybody has a lot of different opinions. A lot of things haven't gone the way it's supposed to have gone. I agree with you on the fact that 7 years is maybe not a long time. However,
to do like the 50 before that.
however,
The 50
there's
that we was under the Dutch, you mean? Like,
And the same
what is
shit
it?
happening?
However, at the end of the day, certain things that are not going the way it's supposed to go, you should see certain progress. And I haven't seen progress either since 10. I only seen things going backwards.
We don't even let's even take 10 out of it. What about the past 50 years? Because the same shit, the same people has been in it. To me,
Okay.
made no drastic
me
effect.
personally, I would like to see, or I would say the man's truly independence is when you see new faces in politics. Because like what you're saying, if you look back at the past 50 years, at least in my entire life, me being 25, I've been seeing the same people in politics.
This is what.
Like the same.
It's
people
become
just
like a job
switching-
you do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the same people just switching position. Like, okay, you lead for now a little bit, and I'm gonna come in. And it's like we just trading places and having the same discussion over and over.
It's a big thing on
So
musical
like
chairs.
to me, I feel like you can't truly say that. Okay, we've seen what's a man capable of independent. Like, yeah, I mean, the same is not really. Is it truly independent if the same people who've been messing up for years?
Would you
still
feel
messing up?
comfortable that if you would go independent with the same people that have been there for years, that it would go better?
I feel like there needs to be some new ideologies and stuff in the place for sure. And I feel like the thinking is a lot of the same mentality that the people have in government. That's why we in a lot of situation that we in now. And I feel like using that same logic to escape these people don't have the answers. Basically, I don't even know what it is that causing this. But okay, yeah, slight technical difficulties level seems to be okay now. But I feel like the same mentality is not going to solve these problems. And I feel like it needs to at least have given that opportunity. Like, what I know it's a weird thing to gamble on, but like, what do we have to lose? We've seen like government fall every year from 10. Yeah, okay, cool. Has things really been going all that great, dog? Like, to me, I just feel like I'm open to trying something new in the sense that I rather it could go bad, but I'd rather just be like, if it does go bad, we'll take the blame or whatever. Like, we'll figure that out. In the sense, let's try it out. I mean, don't shut down the idea before you even give it a chance. That's my thing.
I'll be real frank, because I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, because I think we could talk all day about this.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, you know, what I feel is the people that don't have much on the island will never get much the way it's been going. They always will be suppressed. They always will be the ones that are struggling. Will have to come by month end, maybe even on a weekly basis. For an island that gets so many tourists, for an island that's so popular, especially now after we've realized the hurricane passed and everybody's talking about St. Maarten and we've been there before and we love it. For an island that is so rich, why are the people on the bottom of the food chain still there? Why can't we all prosper on such an island? And why hasn't that changed in the last bazillion years? It's still like that, and it won't ever change the way it's going.
My
theory on that is basically is like, I think capitalism is a problem. That's just me personally, because like the way capitalism works, it needs scarcity to function. The system of capitalism requires that there are those that have and there are those that don't have, and like.
But shouldn't we bridge that gap a bit closer to each other, because it's pretty extreme on the island where people can't combine on a monthly basis and people flying with their private jets going on vacation.
Or government paying for the vacation.
I feel like St. Maarten is just a symptom of the larger epidemic, the larger problem that you see on a worldwide scale. The just wealth gap, the 1% and stuff, and the amount that they have. There was a study that like a couple years back, I believe, was like 110 people had the same amount of wealth as like the other 50%, and then 3 years later that 110 went to like 65, which just indicates that the wealth gap is only the rich getting richer, the poor getting poor, basically. And ain't changing. But I think because they still believe in this nonsense about trickle down economics and stuff like that. Let's put money in the rich hands and they're going to trickle down to the poor people. But obviously it's not working that way.
At the end of the day, the vision of the island should be aligned accordingly. And I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to the rest of the world. We should be looking at what's going on the island and how we can help the people, everyone, have a prosperous life. Capitalism is definitely a problem, but I think if you set and plan out a certain vision and idea for a longer term, I think then you can bridge that gap.
I feel like that's one of the main things that have been plaguing some politics, just short-sightedness, basically. Like if you look at the dump situation, Like, who made the bright decision? Whose decision was that? And not thinking about long term to see, like, okay, what would be the effects and causing fires and putting the health of the residents of the island at risk because it catching a fire every other day or whatever it is.
Who's over the dump? The Rami minister, right? Minister of Rami.
At the end of the day, the last couple of years arguing about what had happened and the changing of government, it don't benefit the situation.
So now, okay, cool. So we're on
and you have the hospital situation, you have NEPA.
On that note, let me ask both of you this. Give me one thing to help St. Maarten. Cause we all put in like, yeah, what went wrong and what thing like that. Give me one from both sides. Give me one thing St. Maarten would need.
RebuildSXM.
That's right with the plug it.
On the ground. One thing that we could actually change. That we could actually do.
I mean,
give me one thing.
What we can do from here now?
In St. Maarten.
Eventually.
Yeah,
okay.
in St. Maarten. For St. Maarten to progress. One thing. Whether it's to start or make better.
My thing is, like I've said it before on other podcasts, I feel like the dependency on tourism is crippling. I feel like we need to have alternate sources of income for the island, and not saying that we need to just get rid of tourism, because it's been our established business and main source of income, driving force of our economy for years and years. All that infrastructure and everything that's already in place, you don't just get rid of that overnight. So I understand it's not gonna go away, but I just feel like we need to come up with something to supplement that something else. Like, it's not to say we can't produce. Like I said before, it may not be at the scale to outcompete larger countries and stuff like that, but within the region, if we actually do something with those treaties or those what they call the West Indian Federation, all those things, like the things that are supposed to unify the Caribbean. If you actually do something with those, enforce some trade agreements and things, be like, okay, you buy my rice, whatever it is that you producing, even though it may not be like a world record amount or whatever. If you got people that guarantee to buy and shit like that, we could make some kind of progress to slow the dependency on tourism. That was just my take, at least.
And you see, give me one thing that we could implement in St. Maarten, whether it's something with fee or whether it's a specific industry or tweaking in process. Something that we could think to
in which position are you in once you come up with this idea? Just to get an idea of where you're looking for an idea. Are you in a position of power? Or are you in a position of just being on the island and you try and contribute?
By a position of power.
I think I think it's actually very simple. And all these creative new ideas and technological advancements that are out there, those are definitely down the line very crucial. But I think what we do, we need to do it good. And at this point, we're not doing it the way it's supposed to be done. Making sure that all the processes that are in place, all the checks and balances, that those are properly enforced. Yeah. I think once we get that aligned and we know everyone is on the same page, then is when we can move forward. With any of these other great ideas, because there are tons of ideas that we have, but once the processes, checks and balances, accountability, once that's not up to par, we cannot move forward with a broken system.
I didn't even think about that.
Man has a point. This is stuff that we've talked about before. Just if you look at customer service on the island, for example.
But you see, that
implementing something to go around and actually make sure that everybody does offer customer service courses or something like that, and make sure that there's inspectors and stuff like that. Like, we talked about this before. Like, that is one simple thing of kind of to piggyback off of what you're saying.
I know they're busy with that, and I know there are courses that are given. Yeah, through the university, they're offering courses. There's a company that does it, that goes to companies and educates the customer service people.
That's severely lacking on the island. For something that's the moniker that we like to boast about, the friendly island and stuff like that, and the customer service that you see on the island is like ridiculous. Certain things ain't really aligned there. Like, you can't market yourself as.
There's no way I could go in a fast food restaurant or any establishment serving food itself and the cashier face push up. I mean, what happened with you? They have nothing to do with me.
The thing is,
it's interesting when you take your order.
What you want? What kind of thing is that?
It's interesting that you guys mentioned that, because I think their face is pushed up in a because they're not happy. The minimum wage hasn't changed in bazillion years. Minimum wage isn't enough for you to come by. So why haven't we looked into that? Why aren't we looking to help out the people that are on the bottom?
Like I mentioned that in a song before, like if looking at the amount, I don't remember the numbers out of my head now, but it was like the the ministers make something like 13,000. I will even mint the minimum wage or some ridiculously no number.
Minimum wage is, I believe, 15 guilders an hour.
Something that.
So it comes down to roughly about €6.
What? Is that low?
And there's a lot
Why
of
you supposed
people
to do
earning that.
Like, on a monthly thing, if you get what, 1,500 guilders?
You know,
Like,
you can't even pay rent.
Rent is what, $600?
Where you getting that?
I was going to ask you.
By a 1 bedroom, like one room house. You
I
might pay
still want to
like
ask you where you get that.
And you getting that in the shantytown industry?
Most probably.
Okay.
Most probably. Because
and that's not inclusive lighted water or internet.
But see, like one question,
And
like,
that's
that's
what-
something you had to bring up. Like one question I wanted to ask you is like, what's your take on just Siman's dependency on tourism and stuff like that in general?
I agree with you when you touch up on that subject, because we obviously now you see that you're very dependent on tourism. But I know they have the Sualiga farm on the island that is actually because our ground is not fit to cultivate many
It's not a fertile
for agriculture.
Okay.
He has found a way to use hydroponics.
Same stuff.
I mean,
like
those
Talking
things
about.
are interesting because at the end of the day, we need food. Everybody needs food, and if this Sualiga farm has this nice concept and idea, why not make it into
Expand
something bigger, where you
Like-
can also employ people on the island to work at these farms to provide the food to the people.
Like I was even considering things like just basically adjusting the curriculum to make it so that farming and these things is taught in schools, and you use students or whatever. Like it's not hard to reserve a plot or a little space of land in the school and be like, okay, this is the school's garden, and the students actually contribute to there and plant. You teach them about what it is, they learn how to make their own food. And even if you want to go to the prisoners and stuff like that, another thing, if you take Emilia Wilson or somewhere that's like a community location and just be like, okay, this is now a community garden, and we got the prisoners giving back there to help feed the island, to reduce the cost, so we don't need to import as much things as we do that spoil by the time they reach St. Martin, or you don't know how long they've been sitting in containers before they
But
come.
It's true.
Like,
it's true. It's true.
Pay more money for spoiled food.
I find you should be using the prisoners to be doing that labor as well.
Look, what it comes down to is the right people aren't benefiting from these ideas, and that always
And the right people ain't implementing them.
stalls and hampers all these nice ideas. Which is unfortunate, because look at vegetables that gotta come from God knows where they're coming from on the boat, which
Puerto Rico,
costs
and they coming from
they
the
cost
States,
5, 6, 7 times the amount what
Paying
you
for
would pay in a
gas,
normal
paying for all of the
in a
shipping
normal
costs and
country.
everything.
Like here, like vegetables are cheaper than any other food that there's out there. So why can't we cultivate the fruits, vegetables on the island? That's a start. You know,
That's something we was talking about in recent episodes. Gary was there mentioning,
kinda
because I think I had bring up the point that we don't have the land
We don't
and
have
stuff like
space
that.
and stuff like that, but
then
there's
Gary-
so
Miss-
many alternatives and stuff like that from Indonesia and different places, vertical gardens and
Yeah.
different things like that that
All-
they're trying out.
I didn't even know
all
that.
the empty. I don't remember if it was Indonesia specifically, but some of the Asian countries I think was experimented with vertical gardens, like a lot of the rooftops that they had.
Japan doing that.
it's like we just
Dealing
turn
a lot with that as well.
turn all the empty rooftops that ain't doing nothing, ain't serving no purpose. You could put solar panels there. You could
look
put
at
the
that. We
garden
just
there,
touched
all
upon
of these
another
things.
subject. What
Like
about
green
wind
energy?
energy,
You-
green energy, solar panels? What about
I don't understand how up to now in 2017 we
GB?
not selling.
GB.
I understand.
Simple as that. It's
I
a monopoly.
understand.
Certain people profit from the existing monopoly. Why would we want to change the system? You've seen the same pushback with regarding the oil industry and stuff like that in larger countries. I like the amount of money people making off of oil. Why do I want to switch to green energy and stuff like that fast so I could be broke? Why would I do that?
But then you can make money with somebody need to be there to fix
Yeah,
it.
and
Somebody
that's why
need
you're
to be
seeing
there to repair it.
ExxonMobil and lots of these big
Simple.
countries investing in green because they see like that's the way to go and that's the only way they're gonna continue to make the money and stuff like that.
That's a gap. That's a gap that you need to bridge, because there's a disconnect between the fact that, oh, I'm not going to earn money because I'm not selling oil, or I have shares in this and I'm not being making money. While on the other end, like you said, it's you can make money off of that as well. You're producing green energy. You
Yeah,
still
but
have to
it's an
supply the
investment.
people.
It's not. It's the same thing we're talking about. Short-sightedness is like, do I want to spend $3 billion? How
Yeah, but
much
it's-
billions in cost?
So
to
what
get
we
paid
want to
10
spend
years
$1
down
million
the line?
on a nice generator. We're also going to provide a couple of kilowatts worth of energy. While if we
That same million,
look-
that
look-
same
look-
$1 million could
that we
light
look
up a whole
to indeed
neighborhood.
look into green energy with $1 million. You know what we can do with that?
Like,
It's a lot.
It's
I
ridiculous.
agree with your line of thinking 100%. Like,
I can't fathom that we stood out. Nobody even.
but that's why we need a new
Pushing
ideology. The
that.
people with the new ideologies.
And that's
new
why all of us
mindsets,
need to
new
go down.
concepts.
We can't stay here.
We here having this conversation like with little effect. The only thing I could hope from this is that a lot of people listening, hopefully people on Smarted and things like that, and this starts to change and maybe influence certain people's ideas to be like, there are people with some ideas out there. There's other alternatives and stuff. That's the only thing I could possibly hope for from this conversation.
It's
at least.
impossible that this conversation has not been had before in government. I
It's
refuse.
been they've discussed it.
I refuse.
They've
I
I mean,
discussed
from
it.
the waste to energy
So then-
stuff like that, they done been like
So then
the
now
idea has been
it goes back
It
to
comes down to the checks and balances, accountability, processes.
that.
People need to work for the people, not for yourself.
Yeah,
Check, and then it
yeah.
goes back to what I was saying before, because this one making money with that, and this one come with you come, let me go.
But we could change it. We have to change it. Staying away for very long, and I understand. I would like more knowledge in my backpack. It's getting there, but once you feel ready, you have to go back.
But going back is the end thing, but not
Not
right
to
now,
retire.
man.
Not to retire, Sean. Then it's too late.
Would you ever be interested in political, like going into politics self?
That's a good question. I had to ask that.
Because it's a thought that I personally had, but I feel like if I were to do that, similar to what Sean Kana was saying, like if I want to go into politics, I want to have the money, the base, so I need to ask nobody and things, so I could run my campaign how I want and all of these things. Because broke people don't get elected. Like, just keep it 100. If you ain't got no money to spend on the radio, advertisements, and your posters and all of these, whatever else you're doing, like...
Well, I first to touch up on what you just said, I don't agree with that you need money to go into politics, because social media nowadays is a very powerful tool, and it costs near to nothing. The idea to help out the island, what we've all done up here is we try and contribute as much as we can. Even though we're far away, we still want to make sure that all our time and energy is invested in the future of St. Maarten. Moving back to St. Maarten is definitely something that we've entertained. My wife and I would definitely want to move back to be close to the family, to help out the island in any way we could. And it's crossed my mind, and you're not the first one to ask me that if you like to go into politics, because it is the highest platform that you can bring about change. Yep. You have other means to bring about change on the island as well from a other standpoint, but it won't affect the whole island. It would affect the target group that you're focusing on. And I don't how you say outslide. Was the English word for that?
Exclude.
I don't exclude going into politics in the future. But we see how the future evolves, and it all depends on how everything goes and when you're moving back and all those type of things.
You can't go on no original party list. You gotta start your own something, because that ain't gonna work. Nah.
You gonna be the campaign, the campaign manager?
I support, like, you and Artwell got go on the same team, and I got group this thing together, because that whole thing about the young people. I mean, obviously now, because there's no young, that's what they should do. Like a good 4 or 5 young people should just come together and form their own party. Get this whole thing about going and voting for DP just because, like, or voting for NA just because Artwell there, and that can't work.
Good idea. Eh?
That can't work.
It's not a bad idea, but I feel like that will fall victim to people saying like, oh, y'all don't know nothing, you're a bunch of young and inexperienced. If you ain't got nobody there that's at least have some kind of political experience, the OG there to lead the party or something, I feel like you definitely could have
Mr.
a party.
King it was, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. King. Let's stop you right here though, but at the end of the day, if it's not working out the way it's supposed to work out right now,
I was going to bring
what
up,
else could happen?
I was going to quote you verbatim. What we have to lose.
It all depends on the people of St. Maarten though. I just feel like I have no problem with that concept. If you got like a completely new slate, fresh faces and stuff like that, y'all going into implement change or whatever, I have no problem with that, me personally. But I know lots of people see seniority and experience in these things as important factors, and you saying like, yo, I can't trust you to run my country if you just got out of school. Like, but I feel like a lot of people look at it that way.
The thing is, all the ideas that we spoke about today, it's the solar panel ideas, the hydroponics. These are all ideas that are close to us because we're young. But to me, those ideas don't come off the ground once you're stuck in the system. You're stuck in the system. The only way it's not moving forward, it's stagnant. and how much knowledge and expertise and seniority do you need to come up with an idea and to execute an idea if you have all the time and resources?
I see the seniority and stuff like that comes in when just knowing, because like, for example, I might have good ideas or whatever, but I have very little actual knowledge of how to implement something, what's the necessary protocols, what's the procedure that needs to be followed if you have an idea, and all of these things like that. So I feel like that's probably where people may see it as like, y'all don't know what it is you're talking about. I sure somebody from politics will probably listen to why I talking to me like
that's most probably what they'll use.
You just sound like somebody who has no idea how it actually works in real life and stuff.
But I can guarantee you there's somebody else that's our age that really following and looking into the rules and regulations, and we could bring them aboard and be like, look,
there's people whose jobs they're specifically dealing with legislation and things. They advise the people who coming up with odd. Yeah, like they advise people who got ideas and stuff. I tell them like how it actually could be feasible if you want to make it a reality type of situation. Like there are people whose job specifically is to do that. Like, so it is possible. But I mean, I just don't know how the voting population would feel and how they would respond to the situation. That's my only concern. Like,
but after Hurricane Irma, I think a lot of people got a wake up call as to how this whole system works. The people that have been affected the most are the ones that will scratch their heads and at the next election they'll definitely
be a very interesting.
They'll definitely think twice before they do what they do. And I'm curious to see how that's gonna go.
I wanted to ask you one other question, kind of relating to the first question, like would you go into politics? But do you think it's possible to have more of influence outside the political spectrum by, for example, being
let's say
a business owner,
a Maxud versus a Tio.
Basically, like, cause like,
would you rather be a Maxud or you rather be a Tio?
There's many people who influence politics and stuff like that.
That's a very
for
good
the
answer.
record.
That's a very good answer.
But yeah, like, do you feel is like, which one do you think plays more of a role? Because I know there's many people in the private sector and stuff that through lobbying or whatever, just close to people in politics and influence politics in that way, versus those who directly in charge of legislation or whatever and running the island.
I think at the end of the day, you need to have everyone involved to succeed. So even if a business owner, a school teacher, somebody working at GB, or someone in politics, you need everyone to be on the same page and having the same vision moving forward. With that being said, you need to get everyone aligned, and I think that comes from higher up, from politics, from people in positions. Those are the ones that need to bring out their vision and move the system forward. But right now, to me, from an outside standpoint, the system is not moving the way it's supposed to be moving. The engine has problems in certain areas. And without, and that going back to what I said earlier, without fixing those problems to get the engine up to par, it's never going to move the way we have all our the ideas that we have will be more difficult to implement.
But I don't know. I think in that aspect, I think I'd rather be the business person on the side. But me personally, I don't like the spotlight. And politician, that's too much spotlight for me.
So somebody has to do it though.
So somebody has to do it, just not me.
But the thing is, I've been hearing a lot of people saying the same thing. Like, I'd rather not, or it's too much for me. And the thing is, going back to what I said, even a business person is important because they can also push the ideologies of a certain party or a certain person. But to really affect change and to make sure that we move forward, somebody has to be in a position of power to bring about those ideologies, and not the way it's been going so far, because we have the same people there and nothing has really been changing.
But not only that, it have to stop being a popularity contest as well. That's another issue as well, because it's like, all right, cool, yeah, I
personally don't think that'll ever change, because like often, my personal opinion, oftentimes there's people who, like what we're saying, there's a lot of people who say they rather not and stuff like that. Oftentimes the people with the competence don't have the confidence most of the time.
Hey,
like there's always going to be that
there, boy. You got copyright that one.
I'm a rapper, I do this. honestly though, like
Yeah, but-
I see it so much times. Like certain people that I want to have you on the podcast because I hear your views. I feel like people need to hear what it is you have to say because you have knowledge that I know I don't have and stuff like that. But I just had the confidence or whatever to come and speak and start this thing up. But that don't mean I'm necessarily the most qualified. I know many people I personally think are more qualified to run this podcast for the idea and stuff like that. I know many people who more like ingrained in the Saman community, know more about the
People
culture
they
and
have
stuff
more
like
seniority, seniority. But at least you try. You see, and that's coming back to your point where you met. At least you're trying, and you make mistakes here and there, but you learn from it, and you become more professional. And as this comes about next year, you might have hundreds of thousands of listeners. You don't know how it goes, but you learn in your process.
With us, I think where our example is concerned, where we might not be the most professional, but we might inspire the more professional.
Like Tupac, that famous Tupac quote, he might not change the world, but he might spark the brain of the person who might.
Cause look, Super and them, Super Kid, shout out to Super Kid and them, and there's a 101.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Yeah,
They did this as years of experience.
They could have been doing a podcast, so I'm sure they would have get a whole lot more views than us and stuff like that, but that don't necessarily
They have
mean
a
that
legit platform. There's no need for people who actually speak on the radio to be like, yes, let's start a podcast as well. Like, let's do the same thing that we do at my job in my personal private time.
Big up to the Stormwatch team, man.
Yeah,
They pulled through.
Like,
Without them, I would have gone crazy.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know, but Ting need to change her. Jennifer need to change her profession. What's she doing? What's she a study?
She has her own, I believe, media company.
Oh, true.
Media marketing company.
She in the right place then. She need to develop more. Oh God, yo! If it wasn't for them and Mr. Carty, jeez, I would have lose my mind.
This is an interesting question for you guys. Seeing that you have the podcast and the freedom of speech, what do you think about what happened at Laser? What they claim to say that they were, gagged?
That's exactly why I have this. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but my opinions often don't necessarily align with. I try to keep it pretty rational and stuff. Have some actual reasoning and logic behind my opinions or whatever. But I like to speak my mind. I know my opinions will rub certain people the wrong way. I know I won't agree with people. That's why I need.
That's why you have a healthy debate.
Yeah, wait. I just wanted to be able to say what I want to say, my honest feelings and stuff like that, and that's why.
But what do you feel about that happened at Laser?
That was nonsense.
I would just go ask. Let's backtrack there. What happened really?
From what I know, basically, of the situation, I saw G Money posted a picture with like a gag in his mouth or whatever, and a caption saying something of like, yeah, people trying to censor us and blah blah blah. And from what I heard, the story was we don't want nobody bad talking the Prime Minister anymore. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's
It's not official. It hasn't been put out there, but the picture said 1,000 words.
Yeah, and the basic thing was stop bad talking the Prime Minister, or else Laser 101 may go off here or take the license or some nonsense like that.
Oh, really? But that's bullshit.
We entering a dictatorship. You see, they're just violating treaties and stuff like that, closing borders and whatnot, like trying to censor people.
It becoming a Trump something. So then you tell me I can't have no. Who's supposed to hold
that was more Putin like that.
Prime Minister accountable. Who's supposed to be holding the Prime Minister accountable? In the media?
The people.
The media ain't considered
the people and Parliament.
But okay, and then so now if you telling me the Prime Minister could do, I mean, regardless of if you think his actions was good or not, you mean to tell me that there's no way, shape or form I could say, oh yeah, I don't like what you do there?
I feel like that's supposed to be protected under our rights and stuff like that. Cause Dutch got the same. We got the same Dutch rights and stuff regarding freedom of speech. It allows you to speak out. The only limits of free speech is regarding hate speech, to my knowledge. Like, hate speech is the only thing that I know that has a limit on free speech, which basically means it protects your right to be able to criticize government. That's one of the essential things in a democracy, which I think last time I checked, Saman is. So the fact that that's even a debate that's what's going on, I feel like that's ridiculous, and that's why I have a podcast.
I find it's really ridiculous, especially a station like Laser 101 who is so influential in the community.
But that's exactly why. The amount of people that was tuning into Laser 101 and stuff like that during that time, the amount of ills, everybody hanging on every word and stuff that's being uttered by Laser 1. You think we want that same thing to be by attacking our government from a government perspective? I could understand where they're coming from. I ain't saying what they're doing is right, but I understand it.
Yeah, I could kind of understand where they're coming from. Yeah, you put it that way, yeah. But
Shout out to all the people that are still listening. This has been an hour and a half. I think it's one of your longest shows.
Yeah, we definitely cross. We definitely cross. So
So
we need to start wrapping up soon. Yeah.
I think with that being said, again, thank you everybody for listening for this episode.
And if you and just before you close up this show, definitely go check out RebuildSXM.com.
Hey, plug everything.
Yeah, any donations, any expertise, any services that you can render to help rebuild the island is welcome. We bring you in contact with the right people on the island. If you don't want to financially contribute and you're an expert in rebuilding, in anything that the island needs at this point, we'll get you in contact with the right people.
I think that was one thing I want to know. I know as we wrapping up or whatever, but just basically like if y'all open to different people coming to volunteer and throw in their ideas and whatever they might have to contribute to, if they think that they could help what y'all doing at Rebuild SXM, if it's like an open invitation or is like y'all more kind of just
funny that you say that, because we have gotten various companies that have contacted us with knowledge and expertise on helping out the island, and right now we're figuring out where they fit in the best on the island, and by who we can connect them with, because you have to connect them with the right people for it to happen. So definitely, if you have any services or any expertise, anything that could help out the island at this point, and all the help is welcome, definitely give us a shout out, and we're going to see what we could do for you.
Okay, we're going to make sure put the link to
yes.
Rebuild XSM on this episode, and where you could tell them where they could find you. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, www.RebuildSXM.com. At the Encore event.
Does Rebuild SXM have their own social media pages and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I know the website
Yeah,
is
so
like
we're
the
on
main
Facebook
thing
as well. Rebuild SXM, Instagram, at any event that is St. Maarten related, we try and have some representative there. Encore is going to be a big event, so definitely come out to that in Amsterdam, 11th of November. The St. Maarten's Day celebration, which is before Encore, is also across the road by a sugar factory, I believe it's called.
Okay.
It'll be big. There's a lot of people putting a lot of energy in this, so definitely come out and enjoy yourself.
Okay.
And with that being said, everybody, this is the latest episode of the Link Up. We'd like to thank everybody for listening again.
Yeah, if you stuck with us for the whole hour and a half, we appreciate it.
But it was an informative episode.
Yeah, I think we had good conversation
definitely.
today.
Don't forget, like, share, comment, leave us know what you think about the episode, what you think about the previous episode. Let us know what other guests you would like us to have on, what other topics you might potentially want us to talk about. And yeah, Mr. King.
With that, we'll see you the next time we link up.
Hey.
Later.
Bless.
Easy.